Welcome to the Book Club Live. I'm Jenny Snow, and today we have an amazing author interview with none other than one of my favorite writers ever, Colleen Coble. Surely you know her, but if you don't, USA Today best-selling author, multi-award winning. I saw you just had a article in Criminal Element relating to this, and Women's World magazine recommended reading, and just so many more accolades than I would have time to say. But my favorite is just, you're one of my favorite authors.
And that's awesome. I wish I could be with your book club in person.
Yes, that would be awesome. But this way, everybody can join in.
That's right.
And if you're new to the show, when we do author interviews, it is like a book club with the author, only Colleen gets to answer the questions herself.
She has tough ones.
Yes, I did. So there's 3 sections. 1 is I'll introduce her. 2, she will answer the book club questions about, and I picked her newest, and I just read it so fast. It was so good. Strands of Truth, and then some just for fun questions that are always some of my favorites. But I just have to mention before we get started really quick. So this one I read forever ago, The Lightkeeper's Daughter, and the whole series. This is the first. If you like historical, mystery, and romance, this is a perfect way to start.
I initially got started writing historicals, but I always wanted to do mysteries.
Okay.
But then after doing those for a while, I missed that historical thing. So I went to my publisher and said, what do you think about historical setting with the same suspense?
Right.
And they let me do it. So.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine how you do that, because it just seems, historical has such a certain feel to it, and the suspense and mystery, but you had it all in there, plus a great romance. This one I read last year, and it was very different from your usual books.
There's an interesting story behind that.
Okay, Because You're Mine. Do you want to share the interesting story behind it?
Sure, because in reality, that book was, I wrote it, and it was rejected by my editor.
Really?
Because it was so different and it had such a different feel.
It's kind of a psychological thriller kind of
But
feel
I still really always loved it. And eventually we circled back and published that.
Okay.
But it's more of a gothic feel.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed writing it. And it came from a story that happened in Indiana. I'm a Hoosier myself.
Wow.
And there were 2 girls from Taylor University who were in a really bad auto accident. And one died and one lived, and they were both blonde, and there was a mix-up over who was who.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, if your book club does this, you have to have marshmallows. You have to have marshmallows at the book club.
That's great.
And then I also love your Rock Harbor series, and this one I read recently, and I just love the cover, and it was...
That was originally titled Abomination.
Okay.
And then we retitled that Haven of Swans. And that's one of that's my agent's favorite book
really?
I've written. So,
yeah. Well, it was really good. And the reason I'm bringing all these up is because Colleen is one of my favorite. This is the Inn at Ocean's Edge. And every Christmas, I have this because I checked this out from the library. Mine was... I listened, audibly. And but every Christmas, I like to play matchmaker with my teachers if I can. And so I go to Half Price Books and wherever I can, I have a lot of more and more teachers now. So try to get them Half Price or Mardell's or wherever. And I love to matchmake, I think this teacher would like this. And so, yes, they always love yours.
Oh, good.
So on to the book that we're featuring in this episode, Strands of Truth. Do you want to give just a tiny, 1 minute?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I've been fascinated with DNA. If you've been on Facebook at all or anywhere online, you're getting ads for getting your DNA done. And I got to thinking, there could be some abuses with that.
Right.
And my daughter-in-law got her DNA done, and there were some family surprises in it. Not as dramatic as Strands of Truth, but it was a catalyst for that thread of an idea. And also, I had read an article about the sea silk. And I was just fascinated by that. And I actually kind of wanted to set it in Italy, but in CBA, books set overseas aren't as popular.
Oh, really?
Strangely enough,
Okay.
isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I ended up setting it in Florida, and
Okay.
But,
Yeah, it did have a lot of interesting elements, and there were, the mermaid industry down in Florida.
Yeah, and on our honeymoon, we went to Weeki Wachee, and so that was in the early 70s, and so it was fun to write that, and some of the stuff there from the 60s, dippity-doo hair gel, and some of those things. Oh, it was so fun to write that, like back in my 20s,
It's modern day, but there's also a historical
there's
thread.
A little historical thread, and so there's a few scenes with that.
Yes.
So it was fun to write those. So if you're in my era, you're gonna like reading a little bit about the Weeki Wachee mermaids and the and that hair stuff and all that stuff, and the copper tone suntan lotion.
Yes.
And I can still smell that.
Yes. Yep, I can too. So it's very scary, suspenseful. I don't even know if I want to share anything about it, but it's a suspense. So read the back cover.
So Harper, my protagonist, she's been searching for her family, her father. Her mother died just moments after her birth,
right?
And she has just wanted family all of her life, and she wants to find out who her father is. And so when she gets her DNA done, she finds a half sister she didn't know she had. And it kicks off a set of really bad things.
Yeah.
So, poor girl. I tortured her
Some
relentlessly.
people you do not want to be related to.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is something scary that you've gone through in your real life?
Well, I've never been stalked or the kinds of things that I write about, but we were in a bad auto accident, and it's actually the catalyst for us, for my whole family coming to the Lord. But
wow.
Our daughter was just shy of 3, and our son was 5, and we had been at a birthday party at my in-laws, and there was freezing rain coming down, and we came home, or we started for home. We never made it. This was in the era before car seats, and I was holding our daughter in the front seat. Our son was in the back seat, and I heard my husband say, "Oh no," or "Look out," I don't remember now. And I looked up, and there was a car coming at us head on.
Wow.
And one boy in that other car was killed, and we were all extremely injured.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I knew I was about to face the Lord, and I was not ready. So good came out of it, but it was really scary and traumatic. And
did your husband also have the same experience? Like, did you both okay, we need to get right with God? Like,
yeah, it took him a little bit longer, about 6 months longer, but yes, it was kind of a wake-up call for us. And
wow.
But that also showed me, and a year ago, something somewhat similar happened. We were pulling a truck out to our daughter in Arizona, and we were involved in an accident, and the wind started whipping the trailer.
Okay. Ooh,
and we
scary.
whirled
my
around,
gosh,
and I was sure we were going to die. But this time, of course, I knew that it was okay.
Well, if we do.
But one thing it showed me about myself is that I probably wouldn't be as brave as my heroines are. I kind of like, okay, we're dead. I'm going to wake up in heaven here in a minute.
Yeah, here we go, everybody. Yeah. Okay. Well, there was one quote in there when it says, "An inner voice drove him on." Mm-hmm. Have you ever had that, where you have this inner knowing about something?
Yes, and I think most of us probably have experienced that. And my writing career is almost one of those things, because 7 years of rejection,
wow.
7 years of not really knowing for sure that was what I was supposed to be doing, and yet I did. Yeah. It was like the Lord was telling me, just keep at it, just keep at it. Just keep going, just keep going. And finally it happened, but
well,
oh my goodness.
Thank goodness. I'm glad you listened. So Strands of Truth, DNA, family are some of the background themes of this. And so one character has parents who were divorced, and he was telling another character about why he thought that happened. And I think anybody who's had that happen, everybody thinks that. And nobody wants that, though. When you get married, you're imagining forever.
Forever, yes.
And I know you and your husband are still married. How many years have y'all been married?
We were married in 71.
71,
so, yeah.
Okay.
It was
quite a bit.
Yeah, we're pushing on to 50 years
right.
here, so we just got a little ways to go.
So what have you learned about marriage and keeping a marriage together and keeping a family together?
I think becoming a Christian helped a lot in that we learned grace. We learn to give each other grace. There's always conflicts. My husband and I get along really well, but of course there are always conflicts.
Yeah, he's wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong. Usually he's right, unfortunately.
We're wrong too.
And I think that it's looking past things and realizing that is your life better with or without? It's always with, and commitment to carry you through those things.
Right.
So you know that relationship always ebbs and flows a little.
Right.
I mean, that's just life.
Yes.
And you just give each other grace and
that's good.
Soar through there.
Right. Yeah, that's great advice. Okay, and here's another quote that I related to a little bit about the main character. She had been in foster care a lot, and she was telling the quote is, she'd been shy and hadn't made friends easily. And I remember a season in my life where that was true of me. What were you like in school growing up? Were you shy or bold? And what have you learned about?
I'm an extrovert.
Okay.
Most people who meet me realize that pretty easily. And so I liked people in general. But relationship has always been very, very important to me. And it is even in my career. It's like some authors are content to have just a professional relationship, but I just push right in there. It's like, you're going to be my friends, you're going to be my family, and you're going to like it.
And they do. I've heard so many stories about how sweet and nurturing and just
I'm the mom.
You are.
I'm kind of the mom in the group. I'm the mom at ACFW. Everybody calls me Mama C. And I'm the mom in our publishing house. I've been there the longest, and I mother the newbies coming in. And
well, and I should have mentioned, not only do you have all these accolades, but you do also give back, and you say ACFW. That's the American Christian Fiction Writers.
I'm CEO of that organization, and I love nurturing new authors and helping new authors. That's kind of something I really love. But.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to another quote. I'm going to go a little out of order here. There's one character who's not normally a mentor, but he just steps out, just something about another character. He just decides, I'm going to take her under my wing. Has anyone done that for you in your life?
At church, especially, some older women who have, and even some that are the same age as me. We've mentored each other. Yeah. I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and so that is my personality.
So God just put that in you. You've been a mother before.
So I'm kind of more apt to go find the ones that are hurting a little bit and try to help.
That's good. Another quote that really stuck out to me: sometimes our biggest heartaches spring the most blessings. What is a heartache that you've gone through in life, and did it turn out to be a blessing? And then also, can you share somebody else who might be going through the same thing right now? Do you have any advice or something that helped you through it that might help them?
Yes. My writing career was kicked off by the death of my brother, Randy. He was welding in a grain bin for a farmer friend, and a lightning storm blew up, and the farmer yelled, "Randy, get out of there!" And when Randy didn't answer, he went in there, and the lightning had traveled across the electrical lines and had come through the welder he was using and killed him. And it was a wake-up call. From the time I was in first grade, I wanted to write. I had this dream of having one book in one library somewhere. And I got married at 19, had our first baby at 21, and as we women often do, I kind of sublimated my dreams in raising our kids, but that little nugget was always there, someday. And then when Randy died, it was, none of us know how long we have. And if I was ever going to follow that dream, when? When? And so as part of the grieving process, I went out to Fort Laramie and saw Wyoming, which Randy had loved, and I hadn't gotten out there while he lived there with his family. And standing on the parade ground at Fort Laramie, that first idea dropped into my head. I went home, took a year to write it, took 6 more years to sell it. That dream it was called Where Leads the Heart.
Where Leads the Heart.
And it was a prairie romance. And the life Randy would have lived if he was in the 1860s,
Well, that's very sweet. That's very sweet.
And so I don't know would I have started writing or would I really have done it if it hadn't been for the catalyst of my brother's death.
Yeah.
So, maybe not. Maybe not. So.
Wow.
And as far as advice for somebody else going through that,
the grieving.
And that is, let yourself grieve, but don't turn from the Lord while you're doing it, because I made that mistake. My grandmother had died the year before, and I was so mad at God. I was just really mad at him that he took my grandmother that I loved. Yeah. She's my soulmate, I loved her so much. And I was mad at him, and I've seen that over the years, that people who are grieving sometimes really take that to an extreme. And you let yourself grieve, but remember, God really does have your best interests at heart.
Don't let yourself stay there.
Yeah, don't let yourself
in grief and death for the rest of your life.
Just soak in it. Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Well, another quote. She needed to remember to take one day at a time and enjoy each moment for what it was. Now that is so needed, but so easily forgotten. So how do you make sure that you're not just living your life, but enjoying it?
I remember what I went through with my dear, dear friend Diane Hunt. She had ovarian cancer, and I walked that path with her. And she took every day. I mean, she didn't know how long she was going to have, but she took every day. Loved her family, loved her people around her, and I try to follow her lead. Because it's all about relationship. When it comes down to the end, and you look back on your life, is it going to matter how much money you made or how many books you sold? Or
no.
Yes, it's not.
Yeah.
It's all about relationship and what you leave here in the hearts of people.
Yeah. Well, that'll preach. That's good. That's good. Let's see. One more quote, and then we'll go to the just for fun section. Okay, so a character is talking to another one. I think all of us long... No, I'm sorry. It's a quote from the book, but she wasn't saying it. I think all of us long for a family because it's supposed to be where someone will love us no matter what. So I was thinking of that, and it's supposed to be. But then sometimes your family or your friends, which in the book you say that your friends are the family that you choose, are supposed to be there for you, and sometimes they betray you, or sometimes it feels like a betrayal. Maybe they didn't mean it, but sometimes they do. So has that ever happened to you where you expected someone to be there for you and then they weren't? And how did you deal with that? How did you overcome that and get through that?
And I think probably most of us have been there. If it hasn't been a family member, it's been a friend. None of us really get through this unscathed.
That's right.
But what has helped me get through situations like that is to remember that this world is not my home. And whatever family that I have here, whatever friends I have here, the only way for that to be eternal is in heaven. And so again, it boils down to relationship, but I just cling to the Lord in those times because He is the ultimate Father and He is the ultimate friend. And everything is temporary here. That's the hardest thing to remember, I think, about in our Christian walk, is this world feels so real. You're real. But it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's heaven.
It's a tiny
little sliver
thread in a ginormous long jump rope.
Yes, it is. It is. And if we could just keep an eternal perspective in everything, we can weather these crazy little ups and downs here.
And sometimes you might be the one that hurt somebody else and you didn't realize.
You didn't mean it even. You didn't realize you did.
So I think that's so key. And when we're hurt or when we're celebrating, it's either thank you, Lord, or help me, Lord.
That's right. That is exactly right.
All right. Well, just for fun.
Okay.
And I had fun thinking of these for you. So you and 3 writer friends are locked in a room by a bad guy. Blank is the first to pray. Blank is the first to rush the bad guy, fist pumping. And blank is the one that keeps you laughing while you wait. And they don't have to be writer friends. They can be anybody.
Writer friends is what came to mind. But Rachel Houck is the first one to pray, and
Okay.
she leads our worship. So you know,
Yes.
you already interviewed her.
Yes.
You know what a heart she has for the Lord, and she's an amazing friend. Kara Putman would be the first to rush. She's our little Energizer
Okay.
bunny,
Okay.
and she's an attorney, and she would get in their face maybe and
Yes.
argue. Oh, and then Denise Hunter is my critique partner for
Okay.
21 years and best buddy, and we live an
So she
hour
would keep y'all
apart, and
laughing
she
and-
keeps us laughing. She's
Okay.
quiet. I remember the first time I saw her doing the drums at ACFW. She doesn't do it anymore, but she did the drums at her
She
church.
plays drums?
Yes,
Oh,
and she's
wow.
so quiet, and you
Okay.
never expect the stuff that happens
Yes.
with her. And I jumped up and yelled, "Woo!" And one year she was just at Mount Hermon Writers Conference. She had me and Diane Hunt in stitches. I mean, she can just say the funniest things out of the blue.
Okay.
But
I actually haven't read her books yet, so I will have to
oh,
go.
you have to.
I'll have to check
You
her
won't
out.
see that humor in her books necessarily,
Okay.
but she's one of the quiet ones you got to
Yes.
watch.
Yes, those quiet ones sometimes have those little
Yeah.
perfectly timed witty remarks. Okay, favorite TV show or movie?
This will probably shock your readers, but my favorite TV show used to be The Walking Dead.
Okay. Okay. Yes,
But
that's
it-
surprising.
But it's
Well, in a
it's
way,
good
but
versus
not
evil
exactly.
kind of thing, and it was such a great character
Yes.
study. Now the writers have lost their way, and I quit watching
Okay.
it 2 seasons ago. But,
Yes.
but in the early years, it was a good man. Rick was a deputy and trying to make his way in an absolutely evil,
Yeah.
impossible world, and it was kind
Okay.
of an allegory for
Right.
how we can be as Christians even.
Yes.
So I really loved that show, but
Yes.
not anymore. Right now, I don't have a favorite, but
Okay.
I was disappointed when
Alright.
that fell apart.
Yes, sometimes if it changes hands or
Yeah.
somebody else gets in charge of it, yeah, I've had that happen with shows before. Okay, this is one I love to ask. How did you meet your husband, and how did you know that he was the one you wanted to marry? Not just I like you, but I love you.
Well, I was dating his best friend, and they were both in the Air Force.
Uh-oh.
And his best friend got shipped off to Las Vegas, and he told Dave to take care of me.
Oh,
and,
no, so he did.
And I guess the way that I knew that, because technically I was still Don's girlfriend,
Right.
But Dave, kept coming over, and so
Yes.
I tried to do the right thing and kind of not see him.
Yeah.
But then he would drive past my house in his 1969 Roadrunner, and I'd hear that engine rumble out there, and I know I didn't get to go be with him. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, we have to
switch this because
We
that
gotta
is not the
switch
guy
this.
for
This is
me.
not
it's
working.
This guy.
Yes.
Well, and see, that's all before you get married, so
Yeah.
that's good to date until you know for sure.
Until
and
you know
then
for sure. That's
You
right.
may not. Yes. Well, that's cute. That's a cute story. Favorite dessert or favorite Christmas dish?
My anything chocolate is,
Okay.
going to be my
Yes.
favorite. We went to grab some dessert with my editor last night, and we were going to go get ice cream. Well, we went into that Rocky Mountain chocolate factory or whatever,
Okay.
and ice cream was out the window
Yes,
as soon as
you
I
were-
saw the chocolate.
You saw the chocolate.
Yeah.
What else is there?
And my favorite holiday meal would be sweet potato casserole, which I usually make. So.
Okay. Yes. We have fried sweet potatoes, or maybe they're
Oh,
candy because we
yummy.
fry
Oh,
them
yeah,
like in
fry
butter
them.
and maple
Ooh,
syrup. Yeah, it's really good.
Oh,
And
that
cinnamon.
sounds yummy.
My mom is a great cook. So is my dad.
Dave
okay.
can make a mean bowl of corn. But
Okay.
That's
Yes,
about all
that's
he
another
does.
good dish. So, talking about DNA testing and family, if you could, what's one famous person, or who is one famous person you would love to be related to? Like, oh, I'll take that.
She was my sister of the heart, and I wish we were sisters in real life, and that was Diane Hunt. And she,
Okay.
like I said, she's a fellow author, and
Yes.
she wasn't necessarily super famous.
Yeah.
Readers that have loved her
Oh,
books.
yeah,
have-
I've heard of her.
And one of her books was made into a Hallmark movie. But
Now, which one was that? Do you know?
it was For Better or For Worse.
Okay.
And
Very cute.
we were sisters of the heart, but I'd love to have been her
Yeah.
sister from the beginning, because
Yeah.
I didn't meet her till we were, I think we were about probably in our 50s,
Okay.
when we met. So I went most of my life without
Yeah.
her.
Well, that's so sweet. I love how God sometimes will just drop a friend in your life, and
Yep.
it's just a blessing.
Yep.
Yeah.
She is still a blessing to me, even though she's been gone now for 5 years,
Yeah.
approaching 6. So.
Yeah. Okay, totally different track here. Can you tell us about an embarrassing moment that you've been through?
Yes, no, it's super embarrassing, and it was at church.
Uh-oh. Rachel Houck had a really embarrassing one at church too.
So
I think your interview is going to come out first, though. So.
Okay.
All right.
So I was at church in the bathroom, and I came out of the stall, and I heard these teenage girls giggling as I left the bathroom. I'm thinking, what's with them? Well, so I went into the sanctuary, and about that time, one of the teenage girls' mother came tearing in behind me and yanked the hem down of my skirt.
Oh no!
It was tucked into my pantyhose.
Oh no!
In the church,
oh
built
my
in
goodness.
the
Have you gone
sanctuary.
very far?
No, only a few feet, and it was service wasn't going on, but there were still people milling around. So, oh my gosh,
so
it was so humiliating.
I remember one time when I was pregnant, I used to teach school, and when you're pregnant, they have those maternity pants, and they go way up to like here.
Yes.
So I had gone to the bathroom, and you have to hike up your shirt first, and then use the bathroom, and then pull up your pants. Well, I felt totally covered. I had forgotten that I just had my pants up, and my shirt was still like way up here. I walk out of the hallway, and my friend, the art teacher, saw me. She's like, "I think you're missing something there." So thankfully, no students saw that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think I totally forgot to say we're doing a giveaway. So if you're enjoying the show, would you let us know and give us that thumbs up on YouTube? And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any more author interviews and book reviews. But if you would like to enter the giveaway for Strands of Truth, just click the link and it's right on there. And then one question before we go: an author you love is blank because blank.
I love Denise Hunter. And like I said, she's been my critique partner, and this isn't a plug for her just because she's a friend, but she writes such deep emotional books that they just suck me right in.
Now hers are contemporary romance.
Contemporary romance,
right?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
No killing of people. But.
Yeah. So if you're trying to, I think I love all of those genres, but there's some times where I'm so stressed, I just want to survive.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about, I'm glad I'm alive.
I'm all right.
And then sometimes you want to just delve deep and really think about things. And
a suspense author that I really love is fairly new, Carrie Stewart Parks, and she's a forensic artist herself, and her books are just wonderful.
Yeah.
She's mentored for, I think, 5 years at least, or 8 years, by Frank Peretti himself.
Yeah.
So her books are fabulous.
Yeah, I read one of hers. It was very good.
Yeah.
It was really neat to see that forensic side of it, too. Well, Colleen, thank you so much for taking time out of your day here at ACFW and doing this interview. And thank you for your beautiful writing and suspense. And I just really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for reaching out. I enjoyed it myself, so it was super
good.
fun. We're going to be buddies. Thank you. Thanks so much.
And to all of you, thanks for viewing and happy reading.
Yeah, bye.